Hello, Anastasia
Hello, Ash.
from Maison Magenta.
Thank you for having me on locally to you.
Yeah, which I saw your Instagram post. You put "made locally,"
Yes.
which is still quite nice because it still is kind of what it is about. Still made locally, locally made stuff. Quick rundown. Maison Magenta. You are a sustainable clothing, fashion, upcycling brand that you started out by yourself, and
I did.
I've only just learned and heard about you. You reached out, which was great because of again Sarah Demek,
Yes.
which is it's just great that the community is connecting in this way and putting people in touch with each other.
I met her future founder before who supports students when I was a student, and then we've stayed in touch because we're both growing our own fruit and veg or, similar fields of creativity. So I like following her work. I think she does really beautiful collages.
Yeah, well, Sarah did the artwork in the art club downstairs in the toilets, but yeah, just another strong community advocate, which is really great. So you're based in Canterbury.
Canterbury and London. So if my clients are in the capital, I travel to meet with them. Otherwise, all the creation is done in Canterbury.
Okay. So Maison Magenta, what does that mean?
So I started the idea of the brand when I was working and living in Paris as a designer for knitwear for Tara Jarmon. And I wanted to start my own design practice because I didn't like the rigorous limitations of working for a fashion brand. No matter what level you work in, fast fashion, haute couture, pret-a-porter, it's all churned out too many clothes. And I didn't like having so many fashion weeks. It went from 6 months to 3 months to each month there's like a pre-summer collection, cruise collection, autumn-winter collection. So I was thinking what to name my brand. I didn't really want to use my name. I like to have my own privacy. So I played a lot with different options and in the end settled on Maison Magenta because I love purple and pink, as you can see. And the double M alliteration seemed like a stronger name, so I went with that. And that kind of reflects my work experience at Christian Dior haute couture, designing knitwear for the first Raf Simons haute couture show. He really pioneered putting knitwear as a high fashion, high valued craft. And I wanted to carry on that craft element, and usually Maison signifies like a craft atelier focusing on a speciality, and my speciality is kind of textiles, embellishment, adding something unusual, something reflective, and that's the foundation of it.
Looking through your profile, you've obviously achieved quite a bit. You've been around different magazines. We'll come back to that in a minute, but it would be great to discuss, obviously, the centerpiece that you've brought with you today. And obviously, I take it what you're wearing is, as well as...
Yes, head to toe, I have to be my brand ambassador. When you go alone, you have to think of minimal expenses. And I was used to always making clothes for myself because I couldn't quite find something I was imagining in the shops, and also to my body size because... the standard sizing only fits like a mannequin, not a real body. And with that, I hope to change the way people see work and think about what they're buying. So, let's see.
Okay. I like that. Your body is the mannequin. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, and that way, because when I'm making the toile, which is a prototype, I can try it on straight away, so I'm not losing time booking a model in. I'm also saving on the model fee, and I can make the amendments straight away. And also my idea is to design for real events, real life. So I design not like made up muse. I plan for an event I'm going, like a ball or a party or a celebration, or if I'm tutoring at Central St. Martin's, I need office attire. And I kind of design for, the real need in life. Life is not just like a catwalk. And that's kind of, it came from an economical side of producing, and I dress up as an ambassador to events, and that's how I try to carry on my passion and turn my dream into reality, I suppose.
Where did the materials come from?
So this is all from my Central St. Martin's collection. So even then I was just scrummaging from dead stock acrylic, because amazingly mirror acrylic is very expensive. So I was going to all the laser cutting studios and asking if they have any offcuts. As a student, you're trying to save money and make it go further. And the original idea was to design these kind of tops. The collection is called The Glass Mass, and it's based on Murano glass, how you look through chandeliers, how the perspective is skewing what you're seeing. So as this top moves on the body, it's reflecting like the trees, the sky, something below, someone's face. So that was the idea. But after I've done that, of course, you can't really wear it anywhere. That was like my, grandest idea. I was thinking, I don't want it just to be lying around for no one to see. And these are beautiful cut shards, and it's still my work. So it took me a while to come to the idea of how to make it into accessories. So first I started putting it on earring hoops. So you can make it as long as you want or just as short. And then when I found suitable closures for cufflinks, which I always wanted to do, I've started to make cufflinks. And then when I found suitable brooches, I made brooches. And this is what I've started to sell now at Albion House, a boutique hotel in Ramsgate. Okay. And this is the workshop I'll be doing this Sunday, where you can come and make your custom brooch, cuffling or earrings, and learn about my collection. I'll be showing my portfolio and guiding visitors on how to make it, how to style it. So it's not just to wear on a shirt. You can put a brooch on your bag, on your hat. It's much more versatile.
So one of the reasons we wanted to talk today was about looking at your profile, your portfolio. You've been in some big magazines. You've obviously been traveling around as well to various places. It must have been quite a nice lifestyle. But from my understanding, you had to step away from it a bit because of health reasons, yes, which then led you to finding your feet with your own passion instead of working with, the bigger brands. So do you feel it's not entirely necessary that you need to dream to work for the big brands?
Not anymore. Originally, my dream was to work for haute couture, and I did everything to excel in that to help me get to that dream. So from going to art school to university to internships to make sure I get there. But I started to struggle working full-time in 2016. And I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome, myalgic encephalomyelitis, which means I get tired very easily. With a lot of work, my therapist said I can work optimum 3 hours a day. And I just thought, well, who would hire me with this kind of work ethic and flexibility? And just following the wisdom of Socrates, embrace your limitations, that pushed me to think outside the box in every field, like working for yourself, not doing fashion week, not producing a full collection, but working with the energy I have to produce still what I want, but at the pace that suits me. And I'm really grateful for this disability, actually, because it gave me a step back, time to reflect what I want to do. I took a year to recover after burnout at my final job. And the final sting was when I asked to go to 4 days a week, which was helping me manage my symptoms. It worked better for me. I wasn't just getting up to work and going to sleep. But at the end, they didn't increase my contract despite having 3 promotions prior to asking for this flexibility. And they said, perhaps you shouldn't work in fashion if you're disabled. And that just destroyed me because I was already tired. I was already exhausted. I was asking for help. I proved myself fully capable of designing clothes that were then featured in GQ magazine and Fashion Week for this brand. And, during that year of recovery, some days I was only awake for a few hours and I was really scared of never being able to do anything. And as I was getting stronger towards that year, and with the support of cognitive behavior therapy and being really disciplined about what I eat, when I go to bed, what gentle exercise I do, I rebuilt my strength, my confidence, and started Maison Magenta. But it was a real struggle, and in a way it is still a real struggle because you have to remind people I can't do these hours. And as much as I try to apply for jobs to work in London or Paris, they're always advertised as high-paced jobs, which just doesn't suit the way I can work. And when I've gone to interviews and tried to ask a hybrid, they prefer someone inevitably who can be in the studio full time, despite me showing I can do everything from home as I have done for Maison Magenta. So there's still a rigidity in fashion, despite saying we're becoming inclusive. They tend to just tick the box and have one unusual model or one normal size model or one article about the sustainability line. But in the end, it's just to make the brand look good. So for me, it's not about making myself look good or making my brand look good. It's just that's the only way I can be in work.
For anyone who's not aware with chronic fatigue syndrome, it's not just about tiredness. It's also about focusing, isn't it? And having
Absolutely.
the drive to also fulfill goals. Even just getting out of bed in the morning, maybe doing the washing up.
Those are the hardest things. After the 3 hours, if I don't have a break, I do feel like I'm walking on cracking ice in my head. I really have pain, palpitations. I feel like a fever is coming on. But it doesn't mean I can't work, which is what hirers think. It's just I need that time out. I need time to lie down, have a break, do some yoga, eat, and then I can carry on. But it's really hard because I'm in pain all the time. I either take pain medication before I go to bed or every day I put arnica oil on my joints, my knees are my main problem, but also my neck and my lower back. So I joke I'm a tin man because the first thing I have to do and the last thing I have to do in bed is put the oil on my joints so I can, gradually get up. And, I take 2 hours to wake up. It's a very slow routine of putting anti-pain or Voltarol when I'm in a lot of pain. Then doing gentle yoga. I love yoga with Adrian. That's what my therapist suggested, and she's really great because you can do 10-minute yoga, 20-minute yoga, and it's not like going to the gym, which I used to love, but you have to commit to a full hour class, and the journey there is also debilitating. I think people often don't understand that the travel itself is energy consuming. The travel to London would be 2 hours. That would mean I've already spent 2 out of the 3 hours of my full energy before I need a break. And also, just a good breakfast, very healthy, and fresh air. I always open the windows in the morning and in the evening just to keep that circulation going, really.
Did you find... Was there any difference when you started working for yourself, though, as opposed to when you was working in this high demanding job roles before with your condition? Was it? What the point I'm getting at is that we live in a world now, I think, where we all work too much, and there's so much expectation, and even this is a stress and a strain on your mental health and things like that. So when you left that and you started working more for yourself, did that have any help towards your condition in any way as well?
Yeah, I mean, this is why now I can work, because I'm in control of my schedule. It doesn't mean I don't get anything done, because look at what I do. I have full collections. I have fashion shows, photo shoots, exhibitions. But it means like I do 3 hours, then I do something else during the day, and then in the evening I get back to it. So when I was working, I negotiated terms at different companies. In Italy, they're more generous with your lunch break. It's like 2 hours. So I was able to leave work, go home, rest, eat, do yoga, and then return. Because for me, I found the big hall for the canteen too noisy. And that's one of the symptoms of chronic fatigue, is you're very sensitive to noise. And the fact that I couldn't escape that noise and just sit somewhere in a quiet place, was a hindrance. So quite often offices just like quiet spaces, or even canteens. Like many offices actually in haute couture don't have a space for you to go for lunch. So you always have to eat at your desk, by your computer, or go in a cafe, which means you're surrounded by more people, you're queuing. You don't have a space just to shut off. In my other jobs, I looked to live closer to work, so it would just be a 15-minute walk away to avoid the commute, being packed in during peak times, not being able to sit, because even when I was younger, I was kind of embarrassed to say, actually, I need to sit down. So it really comes a point where you need to, I guess, accept you are disabled, and at that point, you're halfway to healing, because asking for help is the hardest part, actually. Accepting that you just need, to sit down more regularly is the hardest part. When I attend networking events, they're always in a hall with no chairs. So it just makes it very difficult to progress.
Yeah, that's interesting that you said about Italy having a 2-hour break. I think France is even a little bit more relaxed. Spain obviously has the siesta in the afternoon for a lot of consumable shops. And I think over here in the UK, like you just said, I know people, they go to work, they have their lunch whilst they're working. Yeah. It's just like, keep going, pushing on through. And in some places, it's almost like that's the norm. So when I say, right, I want a lunch break, some people are almost like it's a badge of being a hero. No, I just keep working through and I eat my sandwich. And I say, that's fine if you want to do that, but I want to sit down. I want to have a nice little break, enjoy and taste my food. If you want to eat your sandwich whilst you're working, you go ahead and do that. But I think we need to,
I agree. You would be more productive if you actually had a break. You would be happier. I think you would enjoy your work if you actually had that balance, because when you're working for your lunch break, actually, what's the point of that lunch break? You're not having a break.
No, exactly. And then we're all stressed and tired and not being as creative as we can be, like yourself. So your one of your ethoses I noticed as well is all sustainable products, which we know, and reading through your website as well, and I've heard about this for years anyway, fast fashion. I've seen the piles of clothes that are just dumped because people just want to buy these, like Shein is one of the problems, isn't it? And
they're actually the worst, because they've been proven to have toxic dyes to us.
Yeah, so, and slave labour. And
yes, that's just standard for fast fashion, but Shein is just the worst.
And I'm sorry, I am sitting here wearing polyester clothes. You are right, but I don't actually buy clothes very often. This T-shirt's actually from my dad. Well, it's a bit worn out now. But even that, actually, where that's flaking off there, that's going to end up in the drains, actually.
Well, it's unavoidable to wear polyester, because so many fabrics have been replaced for polyester, for acrylic, for nylon. And to ordinary people, we're not actually educated on fibers and why this is better and how they're produced. And we are just shown it's cheap, it's fast, we can produce it, but that's like linear production. They don't ever describe how, they extract crude oil, which is actually very radioactive. So about 25% of employees who work directly with it perish, which is never actually spoken about.
No, I've never heard that.
Exactly. And also the end of that life cycle is it's not really biodegradable. Yes, it will break down in 100 years' times, but the toxicity ingredients of those clothes remain. So it will actually poison the earth, the waters.
So, but you're saying 25% of the employment in extracting crude oil pass away because of the job that they're doing?
Yes.
Because of direct contact of crude oil?
It's highly radioactive, which people are not aware of. And I just feel like everything that is extracted from beneath earth shouldn't be. Like, it's underneath for a reason, like fossil fuels, fossils, minerals. And
Well, I'm going to look up some information. I've never heard that before.
it's very hard to find, but
Yeah.
because I give lectures on sustainability, I do this research, but it's very much hidden away. And also, there's no responsibility on oil companies because they can pay everyone to not focus on it.
Well, as you know yourself, plastics, whether it be bottles or clothes, they're all byproducts of refining the petrochemicals. And it's a shame that we aren't using something that would be highly sustainable, which is hemp fibers, because it was deemed illegal as an illegal drug. We lost the use of having hemp for multiple uses, which is some of the. I've got a hemp T-shirt at home for sportswear. It's 30% cotton, 70% hemp.
Hemp is great.
And
It
it's
uses much
great.
less water. It's antibacterial.
Exactly, and it's a really great shirt for doing sports in. Because it wicks away. As you know, you shouldn't wear cotton when you're working out because some reason, I don't know the science behind it. There's a saying called cotton kills. Have you heard of that?
I haven't.
Yeah.
How does it kill?
So cotton, when it gets wet, actually sucks the heat out of your body. So if you go hiking or something like that, this is why polyester has been more favoured because it wicks away and it doesn't suck the heat from your body.
But you can wear wool, cashmere for that.
Wool is different, yeah.
Yeah.
Because wool, as you know, is still a thermal insular, even
Absolutely.
though when it's wet, which is very strange. So, yeah. Oh, getting back, actually, I'm reading your website, a bit controversial. You do fox furs and mink.
Not exclusively fox furs, just I'm not against fur. So my most recent lecture, Debunking Fur at Simon Langton Girls' School, we were discussing how it's produced. So it's not wild animals are hunted. It's farmed.
That was going to be my question. Where does the fox fur come from? Roadkill?
Absolutely not, because you've got to think about how do you manufacture a fur coat. You can't be relying on finding random foxes. The pelts are not the same. The damage to the tear of the fur if it's run over. It's farmed, which means the animals...
So there are fox farms?
There are farms for all fur,
Yeah,
for mink,
in the
for
UK?
fox. So I only work with Saga furs, which is the highest certified furrier in the world.
Right.
And for example, their Arctic foxes are in Finland, for example, in Russia, in Canada, and are all certified. And these animals, they are organic, actually. Their certification is based on organic poultry. So they followed their rules, but increased it, because to have a good fur, like hair, you have to have good nutrition. If we eat badly, we will look bad, our hair will fall out. They have to not be stressed. They're given toys and they can play together and communicate, because like me and you, if we're stressed, we lose hair. And they have to be given good nutrition to grow good hair. So if you think about the production, it has to be, animals have to be cared for, and they all have to be more or less the same size to produce the desired design at the end of it. And also, it is a natural product, so if you have so many colors just of natural hair of the animals, you don't need to dye them. So at the end, it can biodegrade without toxicity to the earth, versus fake fur, which is crude oil, at which you are choosing humans to die for an extraction of a material which is not necessary. The production of toxicity, like trying to color a plastic bag, it's very difficult. To try to color your hair, it's relatively, easy. So the dyes are very toxic. And then also, how long will you have a fake fur coat? Because it ruins, like the hairs all get scrunched together and it just looks tacky after the first year or two. So it doesn't keep. For example, I have a fur coat my grandmother gave to me. I will have the fur coat my mom has. I know I will have those coats. Do you ever buy clothes and know your next generation will have them? Very few fabrics last this long when you take care of them. And I regularly take my coats to the atelier to be fixed, and I fixed for other clients. And also you treasure it because of the cost of the coat, and understanding that this is a precious material requires people to respect it better.
I get that. I understand that. I've never heard of fox farms. I mean, generally, most animal products are a byproduct. So leather, obviously, from the meat industry. Some bear furs are because bears are having to be culled, and things like that. But I've never heard of fox farms. I mean, what's the lifespan of the foxes? Do you know? Is it?
To be honest, I don't know, but I can ask this question next time I'm there. But it's
I'm just
no,
interested
absolutely. But what's the lifespan of a lamb you cook for Easter?
Yeah, no, but what I mean is obviously like a lot of there's byproduct. We eat the animals, so from my understanding of what you're saying, the fox is purely farmed for its fur. The fur is not a byproduct because we don't eat fox. Oh, and maybe somebody eats fox somewhere.
I'm sure someone somewhere eats fox fur, but foxes are I guess, the muscles, the meat is then turned into like dog food. It's still edible for other animals, just not for our consumption. And it's not just fox, it's mink, it's rabbit,
Yeah, I mean, there's no hypocrisy from this side. I eat meat and there's everything.
So also, is your approach to fur the same as leather? Because leather just had all the hairs plucked out. People seem to be okay with leather, but not fur. But actually, fur is one stage before a leather product.
Well, I think fur, obviously, decades ago, it was because like fox hunting wasn't very good. It's quite a traumatic experience for obviously the fox. Like even you said, the stress can actually have an effect on the fur itself. And it was a case of people were just wearing fur because the animals were hunted and people were putting it on their bodies. But a lot of things, like I said, are byproducts now.
I wouldn't really say the fur coats that Fenwick was founded to sell were byproduct of fox hunting. Because when you're hunting, you're shooting foxes in any way possible.
That's what I mean.
And that way you're ruining the pelt. So they were not, any fur you buy is not a byproduct because then you will have holes in your material.
Yeah.
So that's just, I don't think that's like this. For other reasons, the coat of the fur has to be really good, and the animals that are farmed for meat, their focus is on the muscles to be better, not the fur. So the animals that are usually killed for poultry, I would say maybe the leather is used, but not fur.
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying. Before it wasn't a byproduct; it was more a hunting regime.
But even like the hunted foxes, they wouldn't have been sold for expensive fur coats because the pelts would have been ruined by the hunting. So the hunting for me is just as a pest control, because foxes are pests at the end of the day.
But that's what gave it the bad name. Was more my point. I think.
The fur making, not the hunting.
No, so I think that what the hunting itself obviously led to anybody that was wearing fur to be attacked because it was associated with barbaric activities. That's my point of what I was trying to say. Which it is. We need to stop the fox hunting in the way that it is done now, obviously. But obviously, if you're a vegan or someone that has the different kind of ethics, then you don't want any animal to be hunted and so on.
Yes, and I respect that, but I think you have to be careful also about vegan leather, because that's just a polyester and that's highly toxic. So I guess if you don't like fur leather, just don't find a polyester alternative. Just don't wear it. Those materials go with cotton, cashmere, silk, camel hair, something else, or like just plant-based fabrics for like linen.
Yeah. Tell us about your event that's coming up as well. So
I'm really excited.
Oh, and I've also seen the thing about crafts and cocktails.
Yes,
Tell us
yeah.
That's
that
the
is
event
that is the event. Yeah, it's my first workshop. I wanted to kind of show people how easy it is to upcycle, as upcycling and alterations is one of the services I offer. I believe in the longevity of the products, and I think just giving that small push to people to understand how easy it is to upcycle will help them apply the same theory to others. So this Sunday, you can come and you can see my glass mask collection. I'll bring my portfolio and explain the inspiration of like porcelain chandeliers, evangelical garment inspiration and archive research, Murano glass making. I made a lot of Murano shapes for my collection. And I just show you how easy it is to upcycle, because sometimes, for example, the earrings I'm wearing, these are fine for like day wear, like conservative office wear, and then in the evening you want to just jazz it up and you just add, like a shard, and then it's like an avant-garde statement earring.
Yeah.
And that's just what I want to show people, taking small steps, reusing things. You don't need to buy a new pair of earrings just to have this on it. So I was trying, when designing, thinking how to limit buying new items to create these accessories. And so this Sunday you can come and enjoy the cocktails at Albion House. They have a very good mixologist there. I've tried a few whilst I was setting up the display. And go home with your own like custom cufflinks or custom brooches in the colors you like, and hopefully with newfound skills to carry on upcycling things at home.
I got to say, by the way, I do like your shirt.
Thank you. This print I designed. Guess how old is this shirt actually?
Oh, 10 years old.
More.
No way.
More, yeah.
Okay. Tell us.
So I designed this print in my first year of university in what year? With 225, 2010. And the project was design a menswear print, monochrome, because it was going to be silk printed. And I just started with painting watercolor orchids, which you can see if you look closer. And then I scanned into Photoshop and added a trellis to make it more garden themed, and screen printed about, 6-10 meters of it. And this shirt is one of the items I made, and I always get compliments. And
Can I buy one?
Yes, I can make it for you. So it's all printed to order now at printers in Faversham.
Well, I've seen you have bespoke on your website actually, so it's all order.
It's all made to measure, to be as zero production, zero waste as possible. So I'm not making up garments that people are not wanting to buy or wear. So I'd make it to your measurements, and if you wanted black cuff ends, that could be black. You could choose to have it printed on silk or cotton. So there's flexibility. And I show every stage of the making, so the order of the client, they can follow the production and understand the real journey and time it takes to produce something, and also learn how everything is made and come on a making journey along the way. So I don't know, I think it's extra special to follow the production of something made. And I try to make it as locally as possible.
We'll be putting the links in for your website which I don't want to mess it up. It's www.
MaisonMagenta.co.uk.
Yeah, which you've also I see you do obviously bridal stuff as well, don't you?
I do, yes.
There's quite an extensive list on your.
So my starting point was bespoke because coming from the haute couture background, I wanted to continue to create something special with high quality materials to the client's desires. And then from that, I was thinking how to still cater to our need, or I guess our system of fast fashion, but not make it fast, so I call it slow fashion. So every design I make, you can order it made to your measurements, but the design is already ready. So that brings the second service, slow fashion. And also, I know we all have our personal style, and with fast fashion, the shops change the garments every few months, and sometimes you just like one item and they don't sell it anymore. So I offer to clone it and make it the same design, but maybe in a different fabric or color. Kind of like in The Simpsons, you have the same dress, but in different colors, for example. And then I also think about garment aftercare. So upcycling, I customize hats, or can add some feathers to your trousers, to bring new life to products you already have. And alterations, just altered the dress for one client to wear to the Dickens Festival yesterday. I'll be altering another dress tomorrow for a client to wear to Ascot, where it shows in the past, in Victorian times, when corsets were the norm, actually, as your body changes size, your dress will adapt because it was all laced up. So there is this idea, corsets can be limiting, but on the other side, if you design a dress without the boning, but with a lace-up, that actually means the dress can serve you longer. And other services I do is personal styling for people who want some extra definition, or for the job, or just to change the look.
So I could be like, style me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like
we can do
Alfie
another
does with his
show for
haircuts.
style. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I could do with some help in that, to be honest with you.
I did notice.
As Alfie said to me one day, he said somebody commented he's wearing a Slazenger hoodie on the podcast. Yeah. So I started buying blanks. Today was just because I was out early and I'm wearing this, but normally I started wearing a blank, no brand hoodie, because why not? So.
Yeah, it could definitely help you expand past the hoodies.
I want one. I'm going to look for one of these shirts. How many thousands of pounds is that shirt?
Actually, it's not that expensive because I try to make it affordable, because the idea of bespoke, not haute couture, is to still give the opportunity to people to have something handmade for them. So when you add up the hours, it's actually highly justifiable.
But we'll just have to make sure that we don't go to the same party together.
Why?
We'll be clashing.
But we'll be twinning. It's
actually,
a compliment.
That might be cool, yeah.
It actually shows you are one of two best dressed at the party.
Exactly.
Me being number one.
I won't wear it with these shorts. Pair of chinos, is that acceptable?
Yes.
That is acceptable.
Yes.
No, I am. I'm going to look it up. I like the shirt, to be honest with
Thank you. Do we have a deal?
Yep.
Evidence has been recorded.
Yeah, we'll put it on the expenses, Alfie, shall we? So are you planning on bringing anything to Dover? Anything event-wise?
Well,
you could maybe have a chat with the art club guys,
I'm always open to collaborations. Happy to work with new artists. I'm meeting Sarah after our podcast, actually, to discuss another potential workshop.
Oh, sorry, to name drop, because you said before we were recording, I think, it wasn't but you were here at Future Foundry.
Yes, they really help students actually to get
Shout out to Lisa Alton.
Absolutely. She's amazing. She's really pioneered Future Foundry and bringing it from London to Dover. And she's really good at organizing lectures to teach you how to apply for arts funding.
Yeah, she does some amazing work, yeah. I'd love to get her on here, but I think she's always too busy.
No, I think she's open to spreading the word, because I don't think enough people know of Future Foundry. I discovered them when they were doing stalls at Dane John in Canterbury at a market. So I think the more people know, the better. And when I was with them, we had a show at the Turner in Margate, and it was really nice to meet more local artists, because when you go as an artist, you actually isolate yourself because you're working from your home or from a cafe, or I quite often go to the park to work on my computer. I don't like to be indoors too much in good weather. So I think it's a really wonderful organization, and absolutely I will talk to Lisa and Sarah. And we'll,
Yeah. Well, I think I did ask Sarah if she'd like to come on one day, but I think she said no. Because, but no, I mean, I've met Lisa a few times in the past. But this is one of the reasons why we're doing this, is because we need to somehow get the word out there about the idea being is that people follow influencers on Instagram.
They do.
You know, people with hundreds of thousands of followers. And people seem to forget that there are people local to us who are doing these things which can inspire other people to chase their dreams. You don't need to follow somebody, you know. And Canterbury's still local to us. Locally to you is not necessarily like Dover only local. It just means locally, something local to you is out there. There's talent out there. You know, something's happening. You know, you don't have to look very far.
Well, I think it's really a great initiative that you're doing these podcasts, because often fashion magazines focus on big names because big names pay for their publishing, which when you're starting out, you can't afford the magazine fees, or to pay an influencer to wear your item, or to gift your item which you've just spent 40 hours making and maybe, you know, £500 on materials. So I think people should follow more the makers and not just the influencers, who are actually making the influencers famous by dressing them in something spectacular.
I'm thinking about it though. I'm just a little bit worried that there's going to be too many people buying that shirt, and I just want to be the only one.
You can pay an extra high fee for exclusive rights.
Yeah, and then it's like a tattoo. Yeah, like a tattoo, yeah. You're the only one that has that.
I can alter the design to be extra special for Ash.
No, well, yeah, maybe.
You can have Ash on your cufflinks or like on your pockets, spelled Ash.
Maybe you could do me something with that logo on.
Yeah.
Or is that
add it as an embroidery to the back.
Do you ever go to charity shops and buy stuff and alter that as well?
I love charity shops. I have to say, Broadstairs is the best. My most recent purchase is a sun hat for the beach, and it was a steal, I think, at £9. It's made from paper. It's originally from Gap, and I just added one of these brooches on it, and now it's like a bit more individualized sun hat. So
you got to go to where the Down from Londoners are. So Whitstable is another one.
Yes,
and I think Tenterden apparently is another one. All those areas down in that area, that's all where you get some nice vintage clothes.
Yes, but the problem is then they go up in price. I think Broadstairs is too far for them. It's the end of the line.
What time are we on? Yeah.
Actually, a DFL stole my crystal jug I wanted to buy in Margate at an antique shop.
Who?
Some DFL down from London.
Yeah.
I came back to buy a crystal jug, which was £25, exceedingly good value for the beautiful jug that was silver coated. And they said, oh, it looks like it's been sold. And it was a weekend where everyone was there from London. So
I was in Bruges, and there was a Sue Ryder charity shop there, but there was nothing in the window that was less than €100. It was crazy.
That sounds more like a vintage shop, not a charity shop.
I know, and I wondered, is all that charity money going to charity? Maybe.
Well, if you go to Chelsea, the Red Cross shop there is exceedingly expensive.
Really?
The items there are a couple of hundreds. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I hope that. Well, there is speculation about some of the charity CEOs and the big offices, they take a huge percentage of the money. Whereas in Dover, we have South Kent Mind, which money majority goes to the charity, and Riverside Centre.
Are those your two best charity shops in Dover?
We've got plenty of charity shops.
Okay.
But they are the two that you can, unless I'm wrong, fact check me, but you can actually see that the money is going to the charity and its cause, as opposed to CEOs and company directors and big office buildings somewhere.
I have to say charity, it's a bit of a difficult way to understand what the cause is helping ultimately, or who. Not all of them, but I have reached out to charities that specifically focus on helping people with disabilities, specifically with myalgic encephalomyelitis, and they actually were not able to help me with anything. They just have like a homepage where you can visit, some information links, but apart from me asking, could you help me re-entry into work? Could you help me finding work? Could you promote this event I'm doing? I'm raising awareness for CFSME. Nothing. So it is difficult. And actually, when I was registering Maison Magenta as a company, there was an option to register as a charity. In a lot of sense, charities in England, it is like a tax evasion things. But I'm not going to be pointing fingers.
No,
but
you're not wrong.
So, be careful, because a lot of businesses who register as charities is just, a tax reason.
And also, I'm surprised nobody's cottoned on yet that, well, they probably are. If you set up a charity and you're successful at funding, it's a good way to pay yourself whatever you want to pay if you can get the funding for it as well, Some charities, you can quite literally set your own salary as long as you can get the funding in some cases. But I know there's a couple of charities, even in Dover, the Smart Project, that's a good one. Obviously, they're a charity, they apply for the funding, they support themselves, but they do amazing work for young carers. Mm-hmm. So as another charity, you can actually see the effort that's going back into the community as well.
Oh, it's fantastic. No, like these kind of charities definitely shout out, but maybe double check before believing a business is a truly charitable cause.
Chronic fatigue syndrome, CFS, also is, as you just said, it's ME. What was it?
Myalgic encephalomyelitis.
Yeah, because you just said it just now, so I just wanted to say that's a different name for it. I think we touched briefly before we started talking about mushrooms.
Yes.
Obviously, there's different types. You've got psilocybin, commonly known as magic mushrooms. But I also have tried a course of cordyceps and lion's mane mushroom gummies.
I love lion mane. Yeah,
I bought them from Amazon. I think they were £12 for 60 gummies. They taste nice. I took them for a month, and I don't know if there was much of a difference. Maybe there was. Was it a placebo effect? I don't know. Have you had any experience with them?
I feel like you haven't had a bad experience. They just elevate your mood usually.
I think
they improve your cognitive thinking.
Yeah.
So I take lion mane to help me with.
In what form do you take them?
Capsules.
Okay.
I also take reishi and turkey tail to help with fatigue. I've tried when you buy a capsule that's mixed, and it doesn't really work for me. Like I actually felt agitated when they mix too many ingredients.
Right.
And I avoid buying. I just tend to buy pure forms, and it just helps me with my fatigue, because people don't see me when I'm tired. But sometimes I don't have energy to even have a shower or to cook or to put my clothes away or to wash up. Like when I'm feeling exhausted, my place is just a mess. When I'm feeling fine, it's tidy. It's like there's two sides of me. So I find mushrooms really help me with sleeping and with anxiety, because I'm worried, people thinking I'm lazy or I'm not doing enough, or, that I need something additional, things to be done for me. and they just take the anxiety away. But I haven't had extreme depression. I was just depressed when I was working full time.
That's
And
what I was
that
going to ask you. Does the exhaustion lead to depression? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. Because what is depression? It means you are exhausted. Your brain is not functioning properly. You know, people say when you have postnatal depression, it's because you haven't had sleep. You're sleep deprived. You can't think anymore. And that's why you are rejecting your baby, because you just can't deal with anything anymore. So rest is vital, and that leads to a lot of depression. And first I started taking St. John's wort, which was really helpful. And then that was great, except I was getting really sensitive to sunlight, which is the side effect of it. So then when I switched to mushrooms, I don't have the light sensitivity anymore. And I don't have the anxiety or agitation, because, you know, there's a joke saying tired and agitated. Well, yeah, that's what you're going to be when you're tired. You can't control yourself. You are on your last straw. But that happens every day when you have chronic fatigue syndrome. So that's why lion's mane, reishi, turkey tail really help with that. So even when you're tired, you're not going to be shouting at people or crying. You know, it happens when I'm tired. When I finish a project, there are times when I just start crying because I'm tired and I need to sleep, and my sleep cycle changes from 10, 11 hours to 15, and I have to just understand, okay, I have to stop taking all my supplements and just rest. And my most recent time out was in beginning of April. I was studying French in Paris at the Sorbonne every day. And it was just 2-3 hours a day, but it was enough to tire me out. So after that month, I inevitably became sick, ill, and I just switched my phone off for a week. I just couldn't talk to anyone. I couldn't communicate. Like, my social battery was drained. All the tablets I was doubling were not helping me have any energy, were not helping me get out of bed. I was just crying all the time, tired, oversensitive. So it's really important to take that time out, which is very difficult with the current work ethic, where you are working overtime is the norm, working for your break is the norm, and actually saying, no, I need a calm, peaceful break to enjoy my food, to go outside for a walk, should be normalized.
Have you also tried anything with the other types of mushrooms before, like microdosing with
I
psilocybin?
haven't, no.
No. This
Although I'm watching, sorry to interrupt, 9 Perfect Strangers, and it is about microdosing, if you've seen it.
what's it on?
It's on Amazon Prime. I'm not advertising, but it's really eye-opening about these, you know, sanctuaries that are available in America, because I think they're a bit more open-minded.
Yeah.
And
Well, you can go to the Netherlands as well and do retreats there. Some in Spain, because we're only now moving into an era, because it was only a few decades ago, you know, less than a century ago, more or less, you know, the war on drugs, because we have moved into a world where obviously the authorities and above don't particularly want us to sit down and really open our minds and talk about stuff and solve issues. You know, so drugs are bad, but alcohol, cigarettes, you know, that's fine. Or you know, opium, as long as it's from a pharmaceutical company, or, you know, amphetamine, as long as it's from a pharmaceutical company.
Bring back opium dens.
Well, I don't know so much about that. But microdose, and that's the other thing as well. Whenever I talk to anyone about my experiences with magic mushrooms, if they're not familiar with it, they're straight away like, oh, you end up tripping and going mad, and they're like, no, that is if you are young, silly, and you take a huge amount of drugs. Like any drug should be, like when you take a paracetamol, it needs to be respected. You shouldn't take too much of anything. Too much of too much water can kill you.
Absolutely.
And we're now moving into a bit of a phase. It's a bit of a battle, but you can see it even now. CBD's coming into effect in places. You know, medical marijuana.
I actually haven't had very good reaction to CBD. I tried the CBD oil for pain management, but it was actually making me agitated, and I have this reaction to some supplements like vitamin D3, which I feel seasonal depression in autumn and winter, and I was prescribed vitamin D3, but it was making me very angry. And people and my doctor said that shouldn't happen, but it was happening to me. So some natural remedies I actually have an adverse reaction to. So I think it could help the majority, but you have to try it on yourself and try a smaller dose first.
Everyone's chemistry is different, obviously, that's for sure. But I'm really hopeful for the future that there is going to be. I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. I'm really hopeful for the future that we are going to start looking more at natural medicines, and really respecting them and using them for what they can be. Microdosing psilocybin mushrooms in a cup of tea every now and then is actually a really great way to start your day.
I agree, yeah.
There's so many fear stories. I remember when I was growing up, somebody said, there was someone we knew, they took magic mushrooms, but they thought they were an orange and they crashed their car and died. To which I said, how did they know they thought they were an orange if they crashed their car and died? Sounds like they've managed to. If they died, they couldn't have told you that story. So it sounds like you've just been told a scary story, There's so
and
much
also you shouldn't be driving on any drugs, even prescription drugs.
No, but it was fear-mongering, against drugs, of course. But I'm hopeful. I'm hoping that we're going to sound that out. So
sign me up to the first retreat here.
I thought, I thought about it. I thought it'd be great to grow a load of psilocybin mushrooms and then do a retreat, probably get arrested and go to court where they say, you're being charged with this. And then I could stand there and go, but why is it illegal? Why? Why is it illegal?
Why is it illegal?
Exactly. Because it is. It would just be like a circular definition. Because it is. Why? Because it is,
Yeah, there's no real justification. And originally, even LSD was invented to cure cancer. And then people started to abuse the drug for partying. But at the same time, pharmaceuticals didn't want, in a way, for people to be easily cured. So it's a bit of a conspiracy why it was banned.
Unhealthy people is a business.
It is,
Yeah, we all know that. Is there anything else you'd like to bring up? Because we've reached an hour, and we normally try and keep it to around an hour. I feel like we could probably touch on a few more subjects, and maybe you can come back again in the future, talk a bit more.
I'm happy with the podcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's been great. I mean, we're going to add links to your event that's coming up.
Thank you.
But it's this Sunday.
It's this Sunday, 22nd of June.
I don't know if we'll get the podcast out in time.
No pressure.
I think I'm probably working on Sunday. I don't know. But if I'm not, I might pop over.
Well, the display is there every day. So if anyone wants to come and see what I make, I made a macrame display. So go over to Albion House. It's a beautiful boutique hotel.
Oh, so you're not going to be there personally on Sunday?
I will be there on Sunday leading the workshop. But I mean, these items you can buy any time during the week. It's in a display cabinet.
I just thought it might be a nice day out for us. We could pop over to Canterbury for a bit. I haven't been. Get the bus.
It's in Ramsgate.
Apologies. I just said Canterbury because obviously that's where you... But even Ramsgate we could still pop over. That was in Margate the other day. Margate's actually getting a bit chic and nice, actually.
It is. I told you the DFL's bought my jug.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Ramsgate needs a little bit more love. But I think it's getting there, isn't it? Correct me if I'm wrong. Haven't been there for a while.
I like all these coastal areas.
Well,
so I was in Broadstairs yesterday and Margate also last week, and Broadstairs. I tend to be at one of the beaches every week.
I don't dislike them. I mean, Dover needs help as well.
I'm looking forward to going to the beach here today. Haven't been. Any area that's the best?
Our beach is kind of small, so anywhere on the beach is good. I mean, Dover's got some great places to go and visit anyway. We've got loads of heritage. You need to spend a whole day. Really,
yeah, I've done the Dover Cliffs, and with my disability, I just thought I'm never doing a hiking fun. Again.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. In this
I was
heat
having a
either.
breakdown because I was so tired and having to find a bench to lie on. And then, you know, once you've gone that far, your only way back is on foot. Like, no one can come and get you.
This is true.
It's horrible. It's actually really, for someone like me who has to pace themselves and trying to go in nature, you've got to understand when to stop to have enough energy to return. Okay. And I just got carried away of getting to that lighthouse, to that cafe, and then I forgot how far you have to go back.
It is quite a walk.
Again.
All right, well, really appreciate you taking the time to come all the way over here to see us and supporting us as well, because it really helps with our content. This is our 10th episode now.
Oh, wow, lucky
I know,
number
you're
10.
number 10.
Just like me.
Yeah. Hey. And especially in that shirt.
Thank you.
You sure you don't want to leave it behind?
No, this is my sample size. For clients, I always make a fresh new one to their measurements.
That's fine. I can wait. But no, you're helping us support. We're still growing. We're still getting it out there. We haven't even really been pushing it as much as we should do. But yeah, no, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ash, for having me on the show.
All right.